Welcome everybody to Real Estate Talk with Tanya Flores. I'm excited to be here. I have a very special guest, Guillermo Chavez, who I've known for a long time. Oh my gosh, it's almost been over a high school, right? Over 20 years?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, the great thing is that, getting back into real estate, I found him again, and he is an amazing insurance agent, has built the top teams across the nation, and he's going to be here to share some information that will serve you as a person and in your homeownership journey, and we'll see what else we surprise you with. So make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe so that you can tune into all the updates. What leads you to start a State Farm agency, Guillermo?
For me, I think you and I can connect on the faith side. So I think it was all God. I think it was part of my journey. For me, I was in real estate. I used to do mortgages. And then I said the universe kind of like walked me through the path of State Farm because then the crash happened.
The crash?
Yes, the real estate crash of 2009 for me. It was 2007, but for me, kind of like kicked me out 2009. And what happened to me is like everything happens at once for you, right? So my wife now, girlfriend at the time, was pregnant. Economy was collapsing. Long story short, I filed for bankruptcy. And then I just started to like look for all these different jobs. And I did them all, you name them. I did it at Primerica, World Financial, Ambit Energy. If you guys remember the gas, everybody was gonna become millionaires with switching people in the gas. I did Melaleuca, another multi-level marketing. But through all that process, I can tell you that I saw some things over the phone who make me get my property and casualty license. Then Primerica, I got my life and health license. Then finally, I found some stability working for Chase as a banker. And I got my investment licenses there, my Series 6 and 63. And what happens after that is I get a call from a recruiter to become a State Farm agent. And I started to like dig more into it. And I asked her, what do you need to become an agent? And she's like, you need your property and casualty, your life and health, and your investment license. And to me, it was kind of like an aha moment. I was like, I have all the licenses that I need.
Wow.
She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, yes. But really, the big part about this story is that all of them were obtained through different jobs during a really hard time for me, which was the real estate crash of 2007. And without knowing, that's when I say God was walking me through all those different jobs without knowing that it was for a bigger goal and challenge in my life, which was State Farm. So when I got that call and I had all the licenses, I'm like, this is it. This is my big break finally.
Amazing. And one of the biggest things that we can take away from that is that, sometimes you're going through really difficult situations, whether it's a divorce, a breakup, you lose your business, you're at the top and then everything plummets down.
Yes.
So it's very easy to say, that's it. It's not for me. I'm not meant to have success. I'm going to just get whatever job and I'll just be okay. And, you had your baby on the way.
Yes.
So, but you kept on going. What allowed you to keep focused and say, hey, this one didn't work out. Let's try something different. Like, what was it that allowed you to pivot? Because it sounded like you pivoted pretty quickly from one thing to the next versus staying there in the job or opportunity that didn't really work out.
Well, Tanya, for me, one of the biggest reasons why I didn't give up and I kept going is because I had obtained success at a career in the mortgage industry, and then the crash happened. So once you experience somewhat of success and then you fail, that makes you stronger. And definitely, the biggest part I will say, don't be complacent. Resilience is a big part of this because we all have good days and bad days. And sometimes, I know you have lived through it, my friend, you can feel like there's more bad days than good days. But something that helps me personally is telling myself that everything's going to be okay. So even in the hard times, it's about changing your mindset into like what is, in my case, God or the universe, whatever you want to say, is trying to teach me during these hard times.
That is so beautiful. And I 100% agree with it. I will say that I didn't 100% embrace it in the beginning In this part of my journey, though, I've embraced it. And I really, when something comes out that it's not so good, it quote unquote, it's not so good, I'm thinking, okay, how is this building my character? This is a gift, right? Or when you come across a situation, you're like, start to compare yourself, right? You start to compare to other people. Oh, I should be farther along in the journey because this. Then you're like, you know what? It's such a gift. Thank you, God, for helping build my character. We can never connect the dots looking forward, only looking back. So I love that about not being complacent. Now, when you were having one of your hardest days, you can likely think of a day that you're like, that's it, or a moment specifically. What did you tell yourself? What pulled you to keep on going? Specifically, take us back to an instance in your journey.
Something that I have very, I mean, it's something material, right? But something that I have very vivid, this memory, it's of me really knowing that I couldn't afford my payments anymore and literally grabbing my car and going to drop it off at the dealership, giving them the key and tell them I cannot pay this car anymore.
Wow.
And literally you give the key and I learned in that experience that they just say, okay, that's fine. They just leave the car and you give them the key and you move on. But that was like really, really a hard moment that day of knowing that you don't have a car anymore. Like, what are you going to do? You cannot afford a car anymore, right? And this is also while my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, was expecting my daughter. So it was really a hard moment. And after doing that, also seeking legal assistance or help, advice to file for bankruptcy. Because I'm like, there's nothing else I can do. Like, I literally cannot afford anything but my rent. You know?
What I hear was a hard moment. I hear courage. I hear acceptance. I hear surrender. I hear like, this is where I'm at. Because many times, and I've been there, we avoid, or we're like, oh no, this is not going on, right? You like stay in optimism and you just keep on going.
Denial.
But you, Neil, you're like, that's it. This is a pivot point. That was your pivot point to build something greater, it sounds like.
And for people who have kids, you know that they're a big why, or why you get up every day and work hard. So for me, I do remember if I have to sell 1,000 chicles, this is like a Mexican thing, I would do so, you know, to pay for the rent. So, and from that moment on, my journey first was to file for bankruptcy. And yeah, that moment really taught me a lot, like you said. I'm just going back to that moment. Driving, it was Lisa Murano, and I still remember the day going and said, cannot afford this car anymore. And from that moment, kind of like figuring things out, and it's day by day. Because you're like, I'm broke, I'm about to file for bankruptcy, I don't have a car, I don't have a house. I was renting at the time. So at that point, it's like, well, to me, it was like, there's no other way, only up. I'm already like in the bottom.
Yeah.
And now I can look back and say, I had to go through that.
Yes.
To then go through the journey of going job after job after job. And going back to your question, Tanya, it was because I always wanted to make more. So if I was making 40,000, then I was looking for that next job that will pay me 50. And then I will, you know, so, or if I reach a top job in a company, let's say, you know, when you're at the top and you're like, are you going to stay here?
Yeah.
There's no other opportunities, or are you going to look for other opportunities out there?
Yes.
And a defining moment for me, you want to know what is it that make the difference? I had a really bad branch manager who made my life very difficult.
Oh.
She treated me like a rock star because I was a top producer at the branch.
She did.
This is the bank, yes.
Uh-huh.
But then going back to that, I felt like I deserve more. I needed to find better opportunities. So I brought that to the table. And for me at the time was to transfer to another branch.
Yeah.
With in an area that had more access to cash.
Yeah.
For bigger investments, more opportunity.
Yeah.
and she didn't like that.
She didn't want to let you go.
No, so from that moment on, she started making my life very difficult. I needed a certain day to take care of my daughter because we didn't have babysitter. You guys been through it, and she would put me to work, open to close that day. So that's when I told myself I deserve better than this.
Yeah.
Of being independent, not having to tell someone, ask for a day off, for a week off, and just start working on your mindset, energy, and praying a lot. And God, I mean, they called me. A recruiter called me to become a State Farm agent, and that's how it happened.
Wow, that's awesome. You prayed for it, and the opportunity came up.
Yes.
And it's been zero complacency for you. I think I see you and how you work every day and how you're constantly looking for opportunity, building relationships, making deposits, giving to people. If I can think of a go-giver, like you're like at the top of the list, Guillermo, in your way to extend yourself. You mentioned something that I want to touch on because I had a conversation recently with one of my attorney friends, and we were talking about relationships, right? And we were talking about, he's like, I don't see that guys have the provider mentality anymore. Like people don't have that built in. Most guys don't have a provider mentality. And you said you would sell 1,000 chicles to make sure you provide for your family.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Where does it come from? And where do you see an opportunity, with the men that exist today, for all you guys that are out there?
Yeah.
Like what message? I think it's important to touch on that.
I think there's a mix, right? Because now you're finding a successful woman who are the providers of their house. And now these significant other they have might take the role of taking care of the house. So it's difficult, right? Because I know you as a woman right now with the woman empowerment and making the same amount of money as men do. But to me, personally, definitely was my daughter on the way. I'm like, she deserves a better future. She like I had to do it. There's no other option, you know. But with that said, I don't want you to think about if you don't have kids that you should not have that mentality. You should not be complacent because I know there's also some people that can be home not paying rent and because they live at home with the parents. So all I can tell you is that time does fly. It's like a blink of an eye, and if you're not working towards something at all times, time will te va a pasar la cuenta. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. And better be building yourself and serving other people at the end of the day. And you serve a lot of people. I haven't even asked you how many numbers, but I've seen, what is it? Oh my God, over 500, 1,000 reviews on Google.
Yes.
5-star reviews for insurance services. What has it meant to be able to run your agency, and how are you making a difference through insurance services?
So as a business owner, I was there. I was an employee. So I make it a point, and I'm intentional about it, to take care of my team, right? And it comes from the most minimum things, right? Like buying them lunch, taking them out to celebrate company accomplishments, but also, paying them a good salary. Because for me, I couldn't do it without them. I couldn't be here today if they're not working in the office. And reminding them, right, to be gratitude. I mean, at the end of the day, things that you do, you and I can relate in a lot of those different topics, Tanya, because we have shared about gratitude and praying and spirituality and stuff like that. You can kind of like share that with your team as well. And not all of them are going to take it, but if a few of them do, you're making a difference in their life, in their path. I can tell you that in 10 years as an agent, 9 people have come out of my office and they own their own insurance agencies.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really pouring into people. You want them to succeed. You not only to build your business, you want them to really do well.
And they do it on their own, obviously. But I do feel like I have had an impact in them to follow that. So I have an example without saying any names. I have someone that worked for a company for 9 years and only had 1 license, and comes to me. He gets fully licensed, and within 3 years with me, he goes and opens his own agency. So I'm like, you were 8 years there. You only were with me less than 3, actually. I'm like, I think I had a little bit of an impact. So that fills my cup, you know?
You talked about gratitude, pouring into
Yeah.
your team. I'm sure that there's people watching that have their own businesses or are in leadership roles within the company. If you could say, what is something that they could do daily to improve or to build up their team that you're currently doing that has allowed you to, create 9 people to own their own agency, what would that be?
Well, going back to complacency, right? I share that with my team. We cannot be complacent. We're not reaching numbers in the company, not just to make money. It's to also make a difference and showing the enterprise, which I work for a big enterprise, the largest insurance company in the United States, is to show them what we're made out of. And with everything going on right now in the world, especially here in the US, it's like let's fight it with results rather than without being doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, no, let's show them what we can do. And that action speaks louder than words.
Yes.
So results speak louder than words, and I think that's a big part of it. Like, don't stay complacent. Push your team. A big part is that focus on your culture rather than numbers. As business owners, we tend to just focus on numbers. And when you focus on the culture, and me personally, I sit down with each individually and say what you want to accomplish, how much money you want to make. And we do the reverse engineering. And with that, they're working towards their personal goal.
Yeah.
And as a team, that's what puts us on the top.
Oh, that's amazing.
And before, I will just, we need to reach this number.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to do to reach this number?
Yeah.
Without really caring how much they want to make.
Right.
So it's and you learn as you go. I mean, I'm not the same boss now that I was year one. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's so great that you say that. I was actually thinking about that recently because I have an amazing team member, Josh, who helps me with all the marketing. And I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, I need to sit down with him to see what he wants, because it can, working so hard, it can be demotivating. Also, you can cause disengagement if there's no connection between your personal goals and the company goals. So I love this advice. Whoever's watching there, make sure you're taking notes and implementing. And with regards to the homeowners, right? I'm a real estate agent. I help people get into homes, their first investments. Yesterday, I ran into a mutual client of ours, and Nancy. Shout out to Nancy Rodriguez from CIBC.
Hey,
and she's under 25. She bought her first investment property. It makes me so happy to see them. Now, when they're getting this property, they also have to insure it, right? So what are some questions that a new homeowner needs to ask their insurance agent, because they don't know what they don't know, right? What should they be asking?
So the biggest part is compare apples to apples. Insurance is not like you're buying a cup of coffee, right? The price is the price. With insurance, the price might be different, but then you have to really look into the coverages. So that's huge. So make sure that you sit down with your insurance professional when you're buying a house, and he literally goes line by line. My point to this is, you can get 3 different quotes, right? And one can be $1,500, another one can be $1,200, and another one can be $1,000. Then easy, right? You'll go with the 1,000, the cheapest one. But in insurance, that's not how it works, because it could be the cheapest in premium, right? A year, the cost, but it can have the highest deductible, which is the one that you're responsible for. So my point to this is, you got to compare apples to apples. That is the same coverages, the same deductible. So that way you can make an informed decision. The biggest advice I can give you in the real estate world, especially people that buy with the basement, make sure you add the backup and sewer coverage. It's super important because there's 2 different coverages, the flood insurance and the backup and sewer. Very easy. One is a flood zone, right? That is marked by FEMA, and it's a requirement. If you're financing, you need to get the flood insurance. But the backup and sewer is optional. If they don't make the time to explain to you, you don't get it. Your basement gets flooded through a backup in the sewer, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Then there's no coverage. You're out of luck, and all your belongings are lost.
Yeah, and that's been happening, I would say, more recently in the city of Chicago and different areas, right?
Yes.
So it's so important. Thank you for sharing that advice.
And going back to the price, the 1,500 one maybe includes backup and sewer, and the one that is 1,000 doesn't. That's why with insurance is apples to apples. Don't base it on the price. Say, okay, let me compare them, and then you make your informed decision.
That sounds like when you're making this decision, it's all about what's going to create that peace of mind, right? It's always
Right.
these what if scenarios. So would, paying 500 extra and knowing that if something happens, you're covered, is
Correct.
that better versus?
Or a lower deductible, right? When something happens, you are responsible for that deductible. So let's say here in Chicago, the most common is wind and hail, roof and siding, right? Something happens. Well, when they replace your roof, you got to pay that deductible. It could be 1,000, 5,000, 10,000.
That's a difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference because you have 10,000 in your bank account when something happens, right?
Right.
And everybody's different. Some people choose to have a 10,000 deductible because they just want to save more money now, right? The higher the deductible, the cheapest the premium. The lower, the more expensive the premium. So it's complicated. So just reach out to your professional, insurance professional, and take the time, because in the process of real estate, they don't really give a lot of importance to the insurance. I'm like, it's one of the most important parts because when something happens in the future, you want it to have the right coverage,
Right.
and make sure that you have the right coverages.
That's great. Now, if I already have coverage, like when do you recommend, because premiums change, things change, when do you recommend is a good time for someone to revisit what coverage they have, if they have backup and sewer or they don't, and what their deductibles are?
I will say once a year, but we forget, we're busy, so definitely at least every couple of years. But yeah, it's just a quick phone call.
Okay.
I'm like, can we make time to review my insurance? I want to make sure that everything I have is what I need, because also our personal situations change, right?
Yeah.
What if you bought a house with an unfinished basement? You decided not to get backup and sewer then, but now you finish the basement and you have like really expensive valuables, right? Like furniture or collectibles. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
And you forgot that you had to add that coverage.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about someone recently. They had, these sewer backed up in Chicago and new furniture gone. Yeah, so definitely have that conversation.
For sure.
Is there anything else around insurance that our viewers need to know?
Well, I just think when you are thinking about insurance, definitely get life insurance. It's a big stigma behind life insurance. People don't want to talk about dying, but it's the most important one. It's like they say that the chances of getting a flat tire is like, I don't know the numbers, right? But let's say 1 in a million, and we all carry a spare tire in our car. And the chances of us passing away is 100%, and we do not buy life insurance. And it's super inexpensive. Some of them are just, it's called term, where there's no cash value, they don't grow in value, but it's really affordable. Can be a couple, let's say 20, 30, 40 bucks. Everybody's different. So we can all afford that. And it's like better to have it and not use it than needing it, the life insurance, and not have it. So
that's true. It's about creating peace of mind for your family and for your loved ones, because we really can't anticipate, when situations happen, whether, it's a medical illness or someone passing away, and that's, when you need it most. So thank you for that reminder today for everybody.
No, anytime.
Guillermo, you have over 1,500 5-star reviews between both your locations. There likely is a story of someone that you've been able to help that comes to mind through the work that you've done.
Yeah. Someone that comes to mind, there's a lot of different stories, right? But the one that really comes to mind is a total loss on a house. And if you guys recall, not too long ago in the Plainfield, Joliet area, there was big tornadoes, and some even came out on the news. one of the people in the news was my customer, and it was really felt really good. Nothing happened. One of their kids almost died in the process because the wall fell
Mm.
almost on top of of a baby. But luckily, they're all good. They have a brand new house. So knowing that I work for a company that is going to be there for our customers definitely makes me wake up every day, and knowing that what I do now can make a big difference and impact in their lives in the future.
Oh, thank God that you were able to be there and that
Yeah.
nothing happened to the baby. Bendito
Yes.
sea Dios. Yeah.
Todo estuvo bien. Yes.
Oh, you have a family, you have
Yes.
kids. You know, raising kids is it's challenging, and the conversations that you and I have had, you've talked about how, you know, you were not very present in the earlier years of your kids, and you kind of, you know, miss out on the fact that, you know, you were building
Yeah.
your business and you were not there with your kids. Is there, besides that, is there something that comes to mind in terms of a lesson you could give yourself if you were coaching the present Guillermo was coaching your prior self in that
Yeah.
time where you're building your business? What would you tell that Guillermo?
It's difficult. It's difficult because I know that if I didn't had made that sacrifice then, maybe I wouldn't be where I am now. I'm a big believer that there is no life balance. There is, but what I'm saying is you have to find your own life balance, right? And some people have these, if you're a parent, you feel guilty for not spending time with your kids enough, or you're always working. So I would say find your life balance that makes you happy. If I have to redo it again, maybe I will do a little better on my life balance, because I definitely just put in my 100%, my heart and soul into my company. And now I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor, knowing that now I can have a little bit of more freedom of time. And I have a 5 year old, so definitely she's having a complete different experience than my 16-year-old that was only 3 when I first opened my business.
Yeah.
So I definitely know that I sacrifice a lot of time, important time with her. But if we know when is our last day, I'm sure we all will do different things.
Yeah.
So kind of like find that your own life balance and what makes you happy.
Absolutely. That's great advice. And like you said, I mean, it was something that was required. It was a choice that you made. And that's why you're able to provide your family with opportunities that,
Yeah.
you know, you didn't have before. Now, you and your wife decided to adopt your second child. Where did that come about? And, you know, it's, I was like, when you're like, when you have baby, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so cute, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. She's a gift from God, definitely. It was one of the things, sometimes when you're thinking about your journey. I'm an immigrant, so I came at 16 years old. And then when you find success, sometimes you're like, oh, this is why God brought me here. And I can tell you that now having my daughter, I'm like, no, this is why He brought me here, my second daughter. It just kind of like organically happened. We couldn't have more kids. Then the next step was going to be in vitro. My wife decided to go in the route of adoption. I'm like, okay, whatever you want to do is your body, is your decision. And during COVID, that's how life works. COVID happened in March and she was born in May, and it was just a blessing. We're kind of like enjoying her a lot. She's a very hyper, nonstop, crazy child.
Who does she take after? Like, who do you think what characteristics has she adopted more? Yours or your
we're
wife's?
both Taurus. We were born in May.
Yes.
And she's very outgoing. So my wife says, even though she's not biological mine, she's my twin. So I kind of like see it a little bit. She's a nonstop wild kid.
That is awesome. Now it takes a lot to raise a family, and there's sacrifices that you have to make, as partners. So what do you think has been some of those sacrifices that either yourself or your wife had to make? I mean, there's people that are watching this that have a business and they're also in relationships. Are there any lessons?
It's difficult, right? Because you have different situations. We had a support system with my oldest. My mom and my mother-in-law help a lot. With this one, we have no support system. My mom has gotten older, and She went through some medical issues, so she's not able to help us. So, but like I said, when you have these 100% in your heart that everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna work out, it kind of does. Because now I'm in a position that my wife can be there more than she was with my oldest because she worked full time.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a support system. Now we don't have it, but now she has the freedom of being more present. And now I also kind of like do it for my own fulfillment. You know, I want to be there for her soccer games, for her gymnastics. So I make more of an effort to be there present and make it happen. When before I'm working all the time. So to each of you, definitely having children is not a joke. So make sure you plan them. They'll come whenever God wants them to come, but definitely kind of like find what's gonna work for you because
Yeah.
childcare is super expensive. Yeah, a lot of people decide for one of the partners to stay home
Uh-huh.
just because it's cheaper than going to work.
Yeah, and you know that she's going to be taken care of, and she's playing soccer. That must be amazing. You're a big soccer fan.
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, we were
I'm more
talking
of a
about.
party guy, so if there's a partido, let's go.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have fun.
Okay, but you don't have a specific team.
Chivas.
Chivas. Okay.
How about you?
I go for the entertainment. I went to my first Chicago Fire this year, first one. I hadn't gone. It was an experience. It was very cold. It was the first game. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many loyal fans here willing to weather out the cold. I was impressed. You go, yeah, with soccer fans. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm also about the experience. So like I don't really watch football.
Yeah.
Like for the Bears, I'm like, yeah, just go enjoy it, have experience go to the Bears game,
Yeah, it's about being with the people.
Yeah.
Parting words. What is one thing that you are excited about in this upcoming year?
You know what? I want to start investing in real estate. I think we had this conversation, but then time flies. I'm telling you, it's like a blink of an eye, and then you don't do it, and you're like, it's been 10 years and I have not done it. So I think for the next upcoming year is my focus on growing my real estate.
Uh-huh.
And vivir de las rentas, como dicen.
Ah, okay. Lo vamos a ver colectando rentas. Oh, we're going to see him collecting rents. Here he goes with the Spanish. I'm excited for you. I mean, if you were able to focus and build your business, I have no doubt that you're absolutely going to knock it out of the park with real estate investing.
You can find me a few deals.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, go ahead and send all your off-market deals. Yeah. Go ahead, DM us. So excited that you were able to be here, a part of this interview, and we're excited to make sure you continue to connect with us. I'll make sure to put Guillermo's information so you can connect with him, myself, and make sure you share and tag your friends so they can get access to this valuable information as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.